The seasons, they are changing. And with that, all sorts of different health issues pop up. Have you ever noticed how your energy, your cravings, even your moods start to shift as the seasons shift? Right now, we're going from winter. In fact, one of my friends up in Edmonton, he keeps showing pictures of his place. One day there's grass, the next day there's 3 inches of snow. And I'll tell you, that affects his mood a lot. And we're going to be talking about much more and what you can do about it right after this. Welcome, everybody. This is the Life Enthusiast Health Shots podcast, restoring vitality to you and the planet. Most people are stuck in a one-size-fits-all industrial approach to health. It treats symptoms instead of people. And that, we find over and over again, does not work. Martin and I have a fibromyalgia group of over 170,000 people, and they constantly tell us how they took a little bit of this drug and then it worked, and then they had to take a bit more and then a bit more and then a bit more until it just destroyed their lives. There has to be a better way, and that's what we're all about. Our own health has broken down due to toxic medical procedures, and we realize the secret to true restoration is understanding your unique metabolic needs. So we specialize in natural solutions for chronic problems by helping you identify exactly what your body needs to heal itself. And so we want to move you from this idea of the industrial age, putting everybody in a factory, treating everybody as a cog in the machine, towards a pain-free life built on your specific biology. There, that's our new introduction. Hope you liked it, everybody. Martin, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Scott. As you're describing it, I'm thinking, there are two approaches to treating a health situation. One is you treat the patient, the other you treat the illness. And the industrialized medicine, the Carnegie Rockefeller model that we now call medicine, is the treat the illness model. They go after the symptom. But in the traditional ways, the traditional Chinese medicine, the homeopathy, the Ayurvedic medicine, and here, we actually talk to the person. That's the distinguishing factor. We are interested in how your body will react to your situation and fix that.
Awesome. That's exactly it. So today we're going to be talking about the Epigenetic Bioharmony. Does that not sound like a bunch of $2,000 words? But it's simple. It's the spring reset. And we're going to be talking about that ritual because we are moving from winter to spring, and your body, it responds to light exposure, to the change in temperature, the different foods that are available. So to give you a definition, epigenetic bioharmony is about aligning your habits with the environment your body expects. So if you've been eating big, hearty soups all winter, that's probably not the right thing to be eating now that spring has sprung. And I remember I grew up in Winnipeg, so it was minus 40 in the winter, plus 35, and this is Celsius in the summertime, so minus 40 and 100 degrees if you're in the Fahrenheit scale. And I can recall in the spring feeling like my blood was sluggish. It was kind of like I could feel it just trying. It's like in the winter, it was just thick and coagulated. And then in the summer, it would get thinner and thinner. And this is my imagination speaking. It's not necessarily true. But then as I got to the end of the summer, then it would start to change again because we were going from the summer back into the winter. And I never aligned myself with anything. I ate the same. Well, I guess it was mostly, barbecue hamburgers and hot dogs in the summertime, and it was whatever mom made in the wintertime. But I don't think that was aligning with the environment at all.
Scott, there really is such a thing as need more dense food, energetically dense. And the most energetically dense food is fat. So you definitely want to, in the winter, up the fat content of your food. In the summer, you could probably go lighter on that thing.
Yeah. And good fat, right? We're not talking about processed oils.
Well, yes, there is the butter is good, animal fat is good, and then it's the fruit oils that would be olive, avocado, coconut, and palm.
There you go. So as you can see right now, we have the industrial medicine, which is reactive, and it's a one size fits all, where we're going to be talking about proactive and individualized, because Martin and I keep talking about how to each other about, like the banana diet might work for somebody, but it's not going to work for someone else. And so what happens is everyone that the banana diet works for, they become that community. And usually they're very evangelical, like, oh, you got to have the banana diet. You got to have the banana diet. Yet all the people that it was terrible for, and they felt awful, or they got sick or whatever, eating all those bananas, they left. And maybe they went on the apple diet, maybe they went on the fish diet, maybe they went on who knows what diet, and they changed. Some people, they eat constantly and snack, and other people, they eat once a day. And in fact, somehow, Martin, I have a guy showing up on my Facebook feed who has not eaten one thing since January 1st. So in 4 months.
That would be 100-something days.
Yes. And he's all about, like this fast. And I don't know what he does. Like, I mean, obviously, he probably drinks water or something. He's not doing.
Well, yeah, he will be drinking water. He would be as dry as a prune and probably as dead as that. But still, he must have been fairly well fatted up before he started.
That's what you would think. So let's talk a little bit about what happens when we go from that winter stage to that summer stage.
What happens? Well, internally, the days, we react to the external environment. The days get longer. It's the first thing, right? So that there's over here, it's the third eye, pineal gland hiding behind there, more light, different situation, different thinking, different modality. I don't know. I think the main thing that happens in where I live is that the plants start reproducing and they start putting gigantic amounts of pollens into the air. That's what I notice.
Right. And of course, we change. The days become longer, so we're getting more sun, right? So and which is, I think, probably one of the reasons why people get sicker in the winter than they do in the summer, is because you're exposed to sunlight more.
Yeah, sunlight exposure is an awesome good thing. We talked about that, how sun really is the life-giving tool, star, and it's sending 4 things that I know of, but photons and electrons are the most important ones.
Yeah.
Should I get more technical about that?
No, we're going to go to this is what we were just talking about. We have our meal timing, which used to be late and heavy. Now it's a little earlier and light. So I was thinking about this when we were making this slide. Like oftentimes people say, oh, keto diet or the 18-6 fast or all those things. And I keep thinking of the Spaniards in Spain who eat at 10 o'clock. Their main meal is like 10 o'clock at night.
Yep.
And so, like, how do we reconcile this? You should, don't eat after 6. That's what one person says. And then you look at the Spaniards and they're feeding themselves and drinking beer and wine at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah. And one story says, eat only eat light carbs, right? Go ketogenic. And then you look at the Italians and it's pasta with pasta and some sweet on top of it, right? Like a bowl of dessert or whatever the heck they all have after that.
It's the tomato sauce that fixes them up.
Okay.
And then in the wintertime, we're eating a lot of roots and stews and meats. And when we get into the summer, it's more whatever's at the market, the fresh stuff that's coming from the plants. I remember it used to be like 3 weeks of the year you could get blueberries, right? Because the blueberry plants would bring the blueberries forth, and 3 weeks later they were all gone. And now, thanks to transportation and the southern hemisphere, we're getting blueberries all year round.
Right. And of course we have freezers now.
And we have freezers and refrigeration and all that sort of good stuff. All right. So we're also going from salt and savory type foods in the wintertime to swangy foods. And I had never heard of swangy. Put a comment below if you know what swangy is. I'm going to give you 3 seconds. 2, 1. And this is, not there. Here's swangy. So it's sweet, tangy, spicy, and stick them all together. Flavor is an epigenetic trigger. So what we find is we spice.
Well, this sounds like sort of like a drink of pomegranates or raspberry, some kind of a
lemon
juice thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a little bit of sweetness with your apple cider vinegar and your lemons, and add the fermented stuff on top, and away you go. And talk for a minute, Martin, about fermented foods, because I think that's something that very few people talk about, and it's really, really important. We've talked about it a number of times, but I want you to kind of take the stage and go with it.
Right. Well, before refrigeration, the only useful technique for preserving something was either drying it out, salting it, or fermenting it. And fermentation is awesome because you take all the sugars that would normally be, going to the bacteria or causing things to spoil. You feed it to specific bacteria, such as the lactobacillus, and you turn cabbage into sauerkraut, or you take something sweet and turn it into kombucha, or you take something that's got lactose in it, like milk, and turn it into yogurt or kefir. Those are all very useful fermented foods. And then the Swedes, they made something called lutefisk, which is a fermented fish.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
I guess it's preserved.
You're used to it, right?
It's preserved.
Right. And in the Anglo-Saxon world, we would make beef jerky and we would smoke, and on the west coast of Canada, they would smoke salmon. Yeah. So they would have salmon all year round.
Yeah, all that.
And so pickles are good.
So there are two kinds of pickles, right? The pickling method that's popular is different from fermentation. So we used to have fermented cucumbers, and they would taste quite vile, intense. Whereas pickling is just sugar, vinegar, spices, and quick boil in a bottle, which is different from fermentation.
Okay, cool. All right, let's see what our next... wrong one.
The fermentation is quite interesting in that it actually supplies your body with a huge amount of living microbes. And that supports internal function and elimination and all kinds of...
your whole digestive system, which is so important.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So let me just bring up the next one.
Oh, the tangy, spicy. Oh, man, look at you.
So here's our natural allergy defense. So in the morning, you take some local honey and some curacin, which I don't know what is.
Quercetin,
some sort of fermented thing. We've got a couple that we're going to suggest instead of Genki plus, Hista Aid being one of them. And then you're getting into your daytime environment. You get lots of sun, but you're protected. And in the evening, you do some saline rinses up your nose, and you make sure that you shower before you go to bed and watch the allergies drop off.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about allergy ease first, because allergies are such a huge problem that we've got.
Right. So the allergy itself, right? That's your body reacting to something. That's your immune system being upset with whatever you're putting inside. And it's usually inhaled, it's usually pollens, and it's usually grasses and flowers and trees. Some people are allergic to cedar, another one to alder, another one to, well, you name it. Allergy ease is a tincture, a very simple tincture. If you look at the ingredients, it'll shock you with how short the list is. And
nettles and rhodiola.
right, rhodiola is the thing that helps you become less stressed, strengthening your immune system. And a nettle is actually, the stuff that grows in ditches that stings you if you try to cross the ditch. The stinging nettle. And that thing is just phenomenally useful at opening up things that are just not functioning well.
Martin, can I interrupt our show for a second and tell a quick story of my son, Jason, when he was 4? We were in Arizona, and we were going up to look at something, and we parked, we got out of the van, we walked, there was like a little ditch, and then on the other side, there were clumps of cactus. And they weren't very high, but we all walk around, and Jason is looking at this cactus, and I know he's thinking of jumping it. And I said, Jason, walk around. So of course he jumps it, and he comes down with like 15 cactus needles in his leg, howling to high heaven. So don't be like Jason. Listen to Martin when he's talking about things that'll get rid of the histamine and get you feeling a little better.
Yeah, don't play. Oh, what is that animal called? One is called hedgehog, and the other one's called porcupine.
Yeah.
Don't let your dog play with porcupines.
That's right. All right. So Earth Friends, they're an amazing company, amazing group of products. We really like them. And the next one we want to look at is Tessamet.
Yeah, Tessamet is awesome. This is so smartly put together. So listen, if you have an oversized reaction, if you are histamining, histamine is the signaling molecule of excitement. A little bit of excitement is good. That's like sexual arousal, that's histamine. But allergy, that's also histamine. It's just too much of a good thing. Anyway, so there's this thing called DAO, deaminine oxidase, and that will speed up the decomposition of the histamine that you have released. Okay. It'll be just wonderfully and competently lowering your reactivity to everything that makes you upset. So especially in the springtime, you will be allergic to the pollens, but that will load your system up. So anything food-wise that you're also sensitive to will be way worse.
Right.
This is what you want to have. 1, maybe 2 capsules every morning to just
get you off to the right start.
Get you off the treadmill. Yeah.
Cool. And then the last one we want to take a quick look at is Hista Aid.
Oh yeah, well that's same idea. Histamine balance, push it down. Absolutely. This is a very easily administered. Just squirt it in your mouth, hold it under your tongue, and you'll cope a lot better with the seasonal issues of your body not doing well. You notice the word quercetin in that lineup right there? Quercetin and luteolin with vitamin C.
There's vitamin C. There's the quercetin.
Yeah.
Oh, easily gotten.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
Quercetin is such an awesome thing, Do you remember in the days when we had the epidemic coming at us with full force?
Yes.
Quercetin was one of the magical things that was promoted by the renegades like Donald Trump and others, telling us that we should take something. They sure pumped him full of religion after, right? Before
Right.
you knew it, he stopped talking about alternatives and started promoting the what was the word?
Scandemic.
No, he had a word for it, some kind of a warp speed. Yeah, warp speed. He was so proud of himself for introducing the warp speed. Oh, oh well. Anyway, Martin getting sidebars into how even a good guy can be made to say things that
We don't necessarily agree with.
yeah, I don't know. I think I should get off of my political. On the other hand, with one hand, I'm going to feed you. With the other hand, I'm going to smack you.
Well, that's our government, right?
Yep.
And who knows what politics go on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So moving from winter to summer,
Yeah.
what changes should we make in like our eating habits in terms of when we eat our breakfasts and our lunches and our dinners and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I'm not so sure that I would know what to do. I think you'll wake up earlier naturally, so you would probably want to eat earlier, and you would probably want to eat lighter, as in start with some fruit in the morning rather than not.
So if you're eating like 3 eggs, bacon, some sausage,
That's on the heavy side, right?
yeah, that's the heavy side in the summertime and not so heavy in the wintertime.
Yeah.
A lot of times people will eat fruits or they'll eat acai bowls. I don't know what's actually in it, but fruit and...
Oh, you are living somewhere south, aren't you? Up here, they call it acai.
Acai, yeah. I give the Spanish version.
And you know what's funny? In Brazil, you can buy off of a street vendor acai juice, freshly squeezed, and it's just phenomenal. Great stuff.
Yeah. All right. So what other things do people need to be aware of when they're changing the seasons? Because the whole point of this is whenever you have an adjustment that occurs, like a change, our body has to adapt. And if it can't adapt, you get sick, right? Like everything is normal. And then when it's out of equilibrium, then you've got a whole bunch of toxins coming out of your body, which looks like a runny nose or a cough and all that sort of good stuff.
I think that the heavier food is less detoxy, more clogging than not. And so I think doing a bit of a springtime cleanse is a good thing.
Right.
A fast, a water fast or a juice fast, or just more salads, more of the vegetable mass, more of the water-rich foods rather than the heavy.
Yeah. So slow down a little bit on the meat. Well, and that, when we look at the world and the way it was, 10,000 years ago, in the spring is when the baby deer are around. So if you're a hunter and you kill a baby deer, you're an idiot. Because at the fall, when you kill it, it's like 200 or 300 pounds. But when you kill it as a fawn, it's 50 pounds. So how much meat are you actually going to get? So I could see people saying, okay, we don't want to kill the mom because the fawn's going to die. We can't find the dad. He's deadbeat and he's off in the woods somewhere. So we're going to eat berries and whatever we plant comes popping up in the spring.
Also, the berries don't run as fast as the deer, and so they're easier to catch.
That's right. Good point. And the lake's no longer frozen over, so we can access fish, which is definitely...
Yeah, there we go.
That's a lot lighter than bison. Same thing with the bison, right? Like you got to protect the mommy and the kids. Yeah. And if you kill the dads that are protecting the mommies and the kids from the wolves, then they're all going to die. So you have to kind of fit in with the circle of life as some.
And if you're in farming, right, the young ones, the goats and the calves and whatever's are being born mostly in the springtime, so that's when you'll have most spare milk that you can get off of your farm animals. So milk products, the yogurts, the cheeses, and all of that sort of stuff is the summer food rather than the winter food. Mind you, well, no, with cheese you can store it. You can
That's right.
age it and you can pick it up in the winter. But the lighter foods like the cottage cheese or the kefir or yogurt, that sort of thing, that would be the summertime food, right?
Yeah.
So as I'm visualizing this summer food, it's a bowl of fruit with yogurt on top, and
That's interesting you say that, because it's like 90 degrees here Fahrenheit, 33 degrees Celsius. And what I've been doing the last couple of weeks is I get this glass jar of kefir. And I couldn't believe it was glass. I was so excited, right?
Yeah.
And I pour it into a bowl, like an inch or 2 inches. And then I'm putting cinnamon on top of it, maybe a little honey, and then I'm throwing some blueberries in. And if that's not a description of what you just talked about, I don't know
there
what
it is. You just created your perfect hot weather food, right?
Yeah, and I feel great. It's
Well,
really,
your ancestors probably ate like this, right? I mean, you come from a good many generations of farmers.
and Scottish farmers.
Yeah. So there you have it.
All right. So let's take a look now at seasonal eco-wellness, because not only do we want to be happy, we want to restore vitality to the planet as well. So it was Earth Day a little while ago.
Yeah.
And
I think it's 4/22.
4/22. Yeah, last week we talked a bit about it. And fiber helps us detoxify, right? And so one of the things I think we need to look at is, like, what do we need to do to help detoxify the world? And, you can say, well, China does this and India does that. Like, what difference does it make? As far as I'm concerned, I just want to make a difference in my little part of the planet. And if I can get a few people to do that, and then get a few people, then maybe we can get billions of people to do it. And I think where we have to start is, what are we buying that's full of plastic that we don't need to buy? And what are we buying that's that can be
full of fiber?
And it's full of fiber, right? Like, and how do you, and I think the other thing is wherever you're at, there's probably, well, unless you're in like a mega city with 22 million people or something, there are farmer markets, and there are also places where you can go to market, right? Whether it's in the city or outside the city. And if you're outside the city, then other farmers, you're around farmers, and go talk to them and see if you can buy their eggs or buy half of their cow, or share produce, right?
Yeah.
I know some people that they do one crop, they switch crops every year, but this year might be carrots. And Martin, you'll be planting peas. So, and someone else will be planting potatoes. So then all of a sudden you get together and you just share all your food, and you've got everything you need for the winter, right?
Exactly.
And we need to spend more time thinking about how we live so that we can live in harmony with the planet. I don't want to be saying, fix the planet or anything like that. I don't think the planet needs to be fixed. If it gets really bad, it'll just like have a sneeze and we'll be gone. So it's going to be here for the next 5 billion years, or until there's a supernova. So, but I think we need to be talking about those sort of things.
Yeah.
And thinking about it, right? And doing something.
Yeah. Well, you threw in the word epigenetic, right? And the epi is like current or environment or now, whereas genetic is what you inherited from your ancestors. And our ancestors lived, I don't know what, 1,000 generations without industrial food production.
Right.
We have now last six generation with industrial production, and we're not adapting fast enough to eating plastic or lab-made something,
That's right.
the artificial meat, simulated meat.
Let's talk about why would you not want to eat something that's cloned?
Why would I? Well, because I'm just not so sure. Well, cloned doesn't seem to be a problem, right? Like if you clone something, you just simply grow the same thing. That's a copy. What I'm worried about is the genetically modified, the one that has a piece of fish inserted into the tomato, and I don't know what all they're mixing with what, but it's the GMO that has me worried.
And where I come from on the cloning is there any way that they're ever going to clone something without thinking, I think I can make it better by adding, some fish genes or some tomato genes?
That's modification. That's not cloning, right?
Well, the thing is how different are they? Like if you're a scientist and you're cloning something, you're going to be saying, okay, let's see how we can.
Okay. Well, in my language, a clone is an exact copy of something.
Right. So if you go to a photocopier and you take a piece of paper and you copy it, then you take the copy and you copy the copy and then you copy the copy. How long before you can't read what's on the paper?
Yeah. And you know what? That's the same thing why there's this taboo about making children with your close relatives. Because that is the effect of reducing the genetic variability, and you're reducing or you're accentuating everything that's within the code.
Right.
Yeah.
Not necessarily bringing stuff in that's good.
No, it's called inbred for a good reason.
All right. So I think.
Well, show me the next thing. What the hell are you?
The vitality loop. So we have our planetary health, we have our systemic health, which is basically what does your neighborhood look like, and then we have our cellular health. So
within the body,
is restoring vitality to the planet.
Well, look at that. You actually came up with the understanding of it as above, so below.
Yep.
Right. Acting locally is, in fact, if you do the right thing for yourself, you're automatically going to do the right thing for others.
Yeah. But we seem to be in a place where we're constantly being influenced to do the wrong things that are not helping the planet or.
Yeah. That's the bizarrest thing, right? Like we humans are truly a team animal. Like we are tribal and we cannot survive alone. And therefore, by strengthening me and my family and my village and my community, I'm doing the right thing for the world.
Right. Until you find there's another community that's doing the same thing, and all of a sudden you bump up against each other, and now we have a war because.
Well, if we start thinking that the resources are scarce, right?
Yeah.
There's this one thing, it's called intelligence. We have our ability to think our way through problems. If we act stupid, we think that everything on this planet is finite.
Yep.
But through inventiveness and inventions, we have found, well, I give you this example. So when your car is doing 10 miles to the gallon, and you have so many gallons, 1,000 gallons, you're going to travel however that will last. So if you improve your mileage in your car to 20 miles to the gallon, you have just doubled your reserves.
Yeah.
Right? Through inventiveness, through technology, through progress. So you can do similar things with food or other resources by just being better at what we do. Anyway, so the conflict as such could be avoided by thinking.
Right. And every 10 years, someone says there's going to be a huge worldwide famine because we cannot create and grow enough food to feed the growing population. And every 10 years, they're proven to be wrong.
Yeah.
All right. So we're coming towards the end. I want to share something that I made, and it's the first time we've ever put it. Oh, just a sec. What did I do? Let me remove that and let me add this. And this is the Swag Revolution infographic, a seasonal reset for bioharmony.
Oh my God, you are really going in for it.
Yeah, we're trying to add a little more pizzazz. So when we post this on the Life Enthusiast website, we'll make sure that we include when we post this episode, we'll make sure we include this infographic, and you can take some time to really take a close look at it. So, but that's
actually, all of the points that you wanted to make are right in that graphic. I managed to scan the whole thing and put it in my brain, and beautifully arranged.
Thank you. All right. So, Martin, any last comments before we sign off?
If you have allergies, call me.
All right. www.life-enthusiast.com. The phone number is on top, and Martin gives free 15-minute consultations if you want to talk to him about whatever's going on. He's a wealth of information, over 40 years experience dealing with all sorts of things that happen to people. And you've been watching and listening to the Life Enthusiast Health Shots podcast, restoring vitality to you and the planet. And we'll see you next time, everybody. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.